this video, I'm gonna attempt to transform this empty Lego building into a thriving shopping mall with a variety of stores, a food court, and more. Let's get started. Okay, so this shopping mall is gonna be rather large and we have a lot of customers who are anxious to spend their money. Pretty much everybody likes candy, so let's start with a candy store. First, I'm gonna lay down a floor pattern, and to build the walls, I'll stack blue and lavender bricks to make this diagonal pattern for a cotton candy vibe. Obviously, the store is gonna sell some chocolate bars, fruit candies, and even some baked goods. Also, if you take one of these minifig paddles and stick this swirly piece on it, it looks like a jumbo-sized lollipop. And these energy pieces look like rock candy. To make this a special experience for shoppers, here's a station to make candy apples, as well as a cotton candy machine. And after some final touches, here's a cash register so customers can actually pay for all this candy. And for a store name, I really like Candyland from the board game, and it matches the store colors, so I'm just gonna use that. Okay, and it looks like our first store is complete. However, some of these shoppers have zero fashion, so we should probably make a clothing store. Not quite. I was thinking more like an Abercrombie & Fitch. Starting in the back, I'll add the cash register, and next to it will be a shelf with different perfumes and colognes. And on the other side is a selection of hats where I use these flower pieces to display them. Now as for the front of the store, I'm gonna build these shelves to split it in two sections. One for chicks and one for bros. And we can use those shelves to display shirts and tank tops. And for legwear, I built these double-decker racks for both sides. And I almost forgot, but no clothing store is complete without some display mannequins in the front window. And now that this place is open for business, our minifigs can pick out some fresh outfits. However, they still need a place to buy shoes, so that'll be our next move. Now, Lego doesn't make any shoes for minifigures, so I used a bunch of small pieces to make custom designs. We've got Jordans, All-Stars, Crocs, Mischief boots, and even Heelys. I want this shoe store to have an old warehouse feel, so I tried making a floor that looked like cracked concrete. And for the walls, I'm gonna try something different and use these ratcheting hinge pieces to attach these large plates on their sides. This way we can use these bracket pieces as a shoe shelf. And to wrap this up, it makes sense to add a bench where people can try shoes on, and how about some wall-mounted speakers? Now I don't have a name picked out for this store, so I just made this large custom shoe that'll go in place of the sign. That should get the idea across. And to complete the first row of shops, the ladies have requested a makeup and beauty store, so let's make a Sephora. These stores have black and white stripes on the floor and walls, so it's really important to feature that along with several beauty products, like this spinning shelf that holds cleansers, creams, and shampoo. Lego also makes these hair clip pieces, so I modified the right wall to display some of them. Honestly, I don't really know what else to add, so I'm just gonna make a checkout counter with a few more products to tempt customers before they get rung up. And because the makeup industry is worth billions of dollars, we might need 2 cash registers. Come to think of it, a store that would pair well with Sephora is Pandora, the popular jewelry store chain. Now this store will be selling some very expensive items like rings, necklaces, charms, and other expensive jewelry. And because they're so expensive, I built 2 glass display cases to protect them. We'll put one on this back wall and one on this right wall. But now this corner looks absolutely hideous, so I made a really thin display to fill it in. Lastly, I'm using some clear bricks to make a glass counter where customers can check out. And it also doubles as a special display case for the most expensive jewelry. And that does it for Pandora. Oh snap, this place is totally getting robbed right now. And it looks like the crooks are making a run for it. This mall is in desperate need of security, and there's only one man for the job. Mall Cop. And I even built him his Segway. Thanks, Mall Cop. Now that the mall is secure, I'm dedicating this next store to the boys because it's gonna be a video game store. The best part is that it's gonna be 50% larger than a normal store, and I've got some plans for that extra space. I'm gonna go with purple walls for this one and add the checkout counter in the center. But this won't be much of a video game store without games, so here's a shelf full of them with some posters of hot new releases. But what good is a game without a system to play them on? So I built a bunch of video game consoles based on real life, and we can display them on this shelf that mounts to the back wall. But what good is a console without a controller? Well, I thought of that too and made this controller rack. And by the way, you guys remember Skylanders? Well, how about we throw some of those on a shelf too? And lastly, I'm gonna spruce up the floor with a rug that looks like a video game controller. Now as for that extra space, how cool would it be if this game store had a lounge area where customers could just hang out and try out different games? I'd say this is quite the level up from your average video game store, so I'll just name it that. Let me know if you would game here with the boys. But as awesome as this store turned out, video games aren't for everyone, and some people might prefer reading books instead. So I think a bookstore like Barnes & Noble is in order. But since Level Up was a larger store, this Barnes & Noble is gonna have to be a bit smaller, which might be a problem seeing as a Lego book takes up the entire entrance. So as a workaround, I'm gonna do my best to reconstruct this entire sidewall into a massive bookshelf. And here's another shelf with larger books to fill in this back corner. I think I can also squeeze in a reading sofa and a very tiny register at the front because that's all we really have space for. So hopefully the book readers are happy now. But if you're anything like me, fun activities like gaming or reading can't compare to building Lego. Now we've got a fully stocked Lego store. They even have that $800 Millennium Falcon set. And of course, we couldn't forget about the famous Pick-a-Brick wall and that Build-A-Minifig tower. And now that this Lego store is complete, so is the entire left side of the mall. And after all this shopping, I imagine our customers are getting a little hungry. So now's the perfect time to turn this middle section into the food court. I'm gonna build up this back wall and add these columns to divide it into 3 different spots. The first of which will be a Starbucks to keep these customers caffeinated. The front has some mugs you can purchase, and the back counter has some supplies and a coffee maker as well. That'll be $37. Next, I'm gonna put Chipotle in the middle. Right now, they're grilling up some chicken to refill the front counter where customers can choose what they want in their burrito. And finally, I'm gonna make a Baskin Robbins so customers can get some dessert. The front counter is built out of these opening freezers with chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla ice cream inside. I also made signs for all these places, and we can probably use these brackets to attach them to this back wall. Yeah, that looks really nice. But I just realized customers still need a place to sit down and eat the food. So as a quick fix, I'm just gonna combine a bunch of plates together that can slip right under the food court, giving us an area to attach some tables and chairs on it. Okay, now the food court's complete. And while the adults are well nourished, these kids are all sugared up since they only ate ice cream and candy, and now they need a place to burn off energy, which is where this top section comes in because I want to turn it into one of those play areas. I'm gonna swap these gray plates with green ones so it has a more outdoorsy feel, and I'll add this lake area with a boat seesaw that can rock back and forth. In the front will be some colorful foam blocks the kids can climb on, and over here I'm gonna try to make one of those really fake looking trees, and I'll add a ladder for kids to climb to this top platform where they can use it to slide down the slide. And for some details, I'll add some pretend stones, a fence, and a bench where Karen can supervise from. Alright, nice. I think this play area will add a lot of life to the mall. Turning our attention back to the remaining shops, I want to try something a little out of the ordinary, like a medieval themed store. I could use a break from building though, so I hired a construction crew to do it for me. Thanks guys. Taking a closer look, the stone floor and brick wall really helps sell you on the whole medieval vibe, and this shop sells everything from handmade outfits to replicas of old weapons and a collection of shields. Pretty much anything you need in a medieval scenario. And just for fun, they even have a real-life horse you can feed. But speaking of animals, what if we built a pet store? Something like a Petco? That could be interesting. And there's a lot of animals I want to add, so it might get cramped. Obviously, we have to include spots for your typical dogs and cats. Next, I built this wooden bird cage with 2 birds inside that can hang from the ceiling. Fish are another popular pet, so here's a stack of fish tanks, and I put these blue bricks behind them to make it look like they're actually swimming in water. I'm also gonna make 3 different terrariums. One for turtles, one for a chameleon, and one for snakes. In addition, we should probably add some non-animal stuff, like a shelf with chew toys, a cash register, and this wall looks really bland, so I'm gonna hang this doghouse there, and now the store looks a little more complete. Wait, it looks like there's one more animal we forgot. And now we've arrived at the largest store in the entire mall, and I'm gonna attempt to turn it into a Dick's Sporting Goods. However, I'm pretty overwhelmed by the sheer size of this store, not to mention there are a lot of sports and activities I want to include. So as a solution, I divided the store into 3 main sections. This way I could just focus on one section at a time, which made this store way more manageable to build. This is actually coming out pretty good. And after spending some more time building, Ladies and gentlemen, Dick's Sporting Goods is now open. How about a tour? This first section is dedicated to land sports like baseball, basketball, tennis. It even has fencing and cycling equipment too. In the water sports section are items like surfboards and fishing poles, and this final section is for winter sports like skiing and snowboarding. I should also mention that each section has a spinning display with specific gear and outfits related to that area of the store. Thank you for visiting Dick's Sporting Goods. Okay, we've approached the home stretch, but one thing every mall has that ours doesn't are some kiosks. So here's one that sells some delicious baked goods. This one sells a bunch of phone cases. I also made one of those old school looking popcorn stands. And here's one that's selling some cheap fragrances. Just be careful because they're pretty relentless when they want you to try a sample. Now that that's out of the way, I have a feeling this next store is going to bring in a lot of business because it's going to be an Apple store. Apple stores have a really simple design, so I'm going to leave the inside completely white, and I made these display tables full of Apple products like iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, iMacs, and that's supposed to be an Apple Vision Pro. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We don't even need to include a cash register since Apple stores don't have them, but the employees will have to use a credit card reader because it looks like this guy just bought some AirPod Maxes to listen to a beat while we build a music store. Not only does this music store have a variety of instruments you can purchase, but it's also a place where you can just hang out and vibe, whether you're checking out the store's record collection or busting out some moves on the dance floor. And you may have noticed the stage in this back corner. Well, it's actually dedicated for karaoke. I wanna lay beneath the stars with you. Okay, you're so good, we actually have to kick you out. Okay, so music isn't your best art, but maybe it's painting. So let's make a Michaels. Now to be fair, Michaels sells a lot more than just paint supplies. So in addition to canvases, easels, paints, and brushes, I'll throw in a bunch of other art supplies like glue, googly eyes, a sticker sheet, and a few slabs of clay. Alright, and that about does it for this store. And it looks like Bro is ready to redeem himself. Okay, we're down to the last and final store. However, after all this shopping, these customers look pretty tired and burnt out. So instead of a store, let's make them a spa. Here we have a lovely oak wood flooring, complemented by light blue walls with cloud details, as well as hanging plants for a natural yet calming atmosphere. At the front counter, you'll be greeted by Spamantha, our kind receptionist. She'll be happy to offer you a back massage with warm stones, a seat in the world's comfiest chair, or a dip in the jacuzzi to relax after a long day of shopping. Or crime fighting. Whatever it is you're tired from, I don't really care. And even though that was our last store, for a finishing touch, I want to add a centerpiece like a large fountain. And I'm going to combine a lightsaber blade and this blast piece to make a oddly realistic water spout. And I'll sprinkle in a few shiny studs to show any coins that people toss in. And I think our shopping mall is complete. No watch, no diamonds, no watch, good timing, yeah. I'm 40 and rich, I'm 40 and rich. Well, it looks like our work here is done. Now these minifigures have a place to spend all their money. Leave a comment and let me know what your favorite store was. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.